West Side, West Side. Season 16 about to jump off. I don't know about y'all, but you know what? I can't jump over a dollar hardly anymore. Knees are bad. I can still roll a little bit. I'm out there on the softball field, so forth. But I get excited about this, and I think the more I can't do anything physically, the more excited I get about fantasy football. So anyway, it feels like we're about to wrap it up for real. So anyway, here we go, y'all. I want to do my analysis. I've been working on this for an hour and a half. Man, I've been having my Wi-Fi is disconnecting me and so forth. But I still like to do it on video. I just get tired of typing. So I went through my analysis. I broke down everybody's team. I looked at who had some horses that you know is going to score versus those who may score. And, oh, well, they're on a new team. They got a new quarterback. They got a new offensive coordinator, blah, blah, blah. And I just looked at it and say, who's got horses? Who's got people that you know week in and week out, if they stay healthy, they're going to score points. So when I did my little rankings, and I didn't have this team originally at first as my number one team, but when I started looking at it that way, it became very clear to me. And that's the Eagles. We got to give the current reigning champion some love. Last year wasn't a fluke for the Eagles. He's been there for the last couple of years and finally made the run that he's been looking to have for the last few years. And there's really no reason that this team can't do it again. He's got Drew Brees, number one seeded quarterback, likely will be a number one quarterback, or at least a number 3 or 4, top 3 or 4. Adrian Peterson, back then, it's all barring injury, but Adrian Peterson should be a top 3 or 4 running back. Marshawn Lynch should be a top 3 or 4 running back. David Wilson could be a top 10 running back. Those 4 players alone, week in, week out, is starting to build off with 40 points. He almost knows he can go in every game with 40 points consistently. Yeah, every week, every now and then, maybe one week, those guys may give him 70 or 80, and then one week maybe they get 20 or 30. But for the most part, he's going to have a significant amount of points from those 4 players. The rest of the players around him, depending on how good they are, will determine how great of a season the Eagles have. Deshaun Jackson, a little bit of a risky pick at number 1, but definitely some high-end potential there with Chip Kelly's offense. I'm not overly optimistic just because he's kind of a small guy. Doesn't seem to be a type of guy going to go out and catch 7, 8, 9 balls a game consistently. That hasn't been his game, but we know he's a home run threat. One good move that the Bills made after the draft, and then Bill and I talked about this, was he picked up Percy Harvin. And I think a lot of people either just think because of the injury didn't want to be bothered with him, or some people like me really thought that he was on somebody else's team, just didn't even think about it. But Percy may be back. Now, they say maybe back week 13, maybe back week 6, from what Bill was telling me. But if he comes back in the middle, week 8, 9, 10, where he can get 3 or 4 or 5 weeks under his belt before we start our playoffs and get into a rhythm and connect with Russell, then going to the playoff, Percy can be a very valuable tool for Bill. So definitely a good pickup by Bill. And I don't give Bill a whole lot of credit at times because I like to hate on Bill. But that's a good move. So definitely caught me off guard. So I think Bill's got to be a favorite going in. This is maybe kind of surprising, but I like Illmatic. I don't know how Will ended up number 2 in the draft with the team that he had. I don't know what Jimmy Graham did last year, but he had Tom Brady, Alfred Morris, Jimmy Graham, and Frank Gore as his keepers, along with whoever the 5th person was. And then Will, I think, made a pretty good trade and picked up Steven Jackson. So he's going into the season with Brady, Alfred Morris, Frank Gore, Steven Jackson, and Jimmy Graham. That's solid. That's solid. Those are guys, again, I think they may not be top scoring, but I would expect Alfred Morris, Frank Gore, Steven Jackson to be at least top 15. If not top 10 type guys, and they can be top 10 type guys, but definitely top 15 type running backs. Tom Brady should be a top 5, 6 fantasy receiver, quarterback, and then Jimmy Graham, everybody's touting him this year to be the number 1 tight end over Gronkowski. So with that type of heat going into it, you got his receivers with Stephen Smith, I don't know. That's kind of the weak spot for Will is the receivers I'm looking at. But those 5 players definitely give him enough heat to be competitive every week. So I like the Illmatic squad. No Limit. I've always been riding No Limit jock here for the last 3 or 4 seasons, justifiably so. I think Wayne made it to a Super Bowl, I think. And I think he's been to the semifinals one other year. Aaron Rodgers, we all know what he can do. I think Wayne's window of opportunity, though, is closing. I think we're looking at Arian Foster, who's been a workhorse the last 3 or 4 years. I think they're going to start pulling his carries back. Jones Drew has been hurt the last couple of years. Andre Johnson, uh, we'll see. I mean, he got a great year. He got a mediocre year. Just don't know what to expect out of Andre. Steve Johnson, I think that's the receiver from Buffalo. I like him. He could be nice for Wayne as well. He's got Mendenhall. We'll see what he does in Carolina. It could be a surprise type of a move there. Mendenhall could end up having actually a good season. Then he has Hartley, kicker from New Orleans, and the 49ers D. So I like Wayne's squad to have a good season as well. Going to Don Mega, always got to give Don Mega love, man. Don Mega's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. He's consistent year in and year out. You know, if he's not in the championship, he's always in the mix. Not overly explosive at times, but never booty. Can't too many of us say that. So consistency is Don Mega's middle name, and this season it holds true. Doug Martin, Ray Rice, Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson can have a season in between when he was at his peak and what he did last year, which was I took kind of as a bounce back year for him. Those 3 running backs can be right behind Bill as far as productivity. RG3, we'll see. These second-year quarterbacks, I'm real curious to see because they're all not going to be 30 touchdown, 4,500-yard guys. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will. 1 or 2 of them are going to be, I think, maybe 4,000-yard, 22, 23 touchdown guys, which is not terrible. But everybody who owns these, the Lux, Kaepernick, which I have, RG3, Russell Wilson, everybody is hoping that these are going to be very productive fantasy guys. So we'll see what happens with RG3 coming off of that leg injury. He's got Anquan Bolden. Curious to see what he does over there. And I like T.Y. Hilton. I think T.Y. over in Indy will have a good year, potentially a great year, but I think he's going to have a very solid year. I feel good about him. So I think Don Mega is going to be once again right in the mix. The team that originally jumped out at me was Bet Your Money. And when I looked at that team and I looked at where his players were ranked by the gurus, that's what made me kind of say, you know what, Bet Your Money jumps off the paper at me. C.J. Spiller, Ryan Matthews, they're both ranked, from what I remember seeing, they were both ranked in the top 7 to 8 running backs almost on everybody's sheet. We'll see. They haven't proven up. Ryan Matthews hasn't stayed healthy, and C.J. Spiller hasn't done it yet. So based on just the rankings, his squad jumped out. Dez Bryant, Brandon Marshall, top 5, 6 ranked receivers. So he had 2 top 6, 7, 8 ranked running backs and 2 top 5, 6, 7 ranked receivers. And then he's got a potential at quarterback with Matthew Stafford to have a big season. We'll see. He hasn't done it the last couple of years when people thought he was really ready to take off there from a couple of years back, and he's kind of fallen off. So I'm curious to see how that works out. Bill also drafted the number 1 ranked defense. I don't put a lot of stake in the gurus' ranking of defenses because, as we all know, defenses come out of nowhere and have good seasons because you never know who's going to be scoring a lot of defensive touchdowns, special team touchdowns. It's just unpredictable. But as far as the rankings go, he has the number 1 ranked defense, and then you got that big leg kicker from the Rams in Zierlein, who can get him a lot of bonus point field goals from 50 plus. So watch out for Bet Your Money. Bet Your Money definitely could be explosive. Going down the list from there to the rest of the league, and everybody has potential. Everybody has a lot back again. What ifs, and if this happens, and this player does that under this new system, they can have a good season. So let's run through it real quick. Bomb Squad. Cam Newton needs to step up. I think they've been talking about that a lot. Make a break year for him to really either secure himself or start to be looked at a little sideways as far as, is this going to be the guy here in Carolina, and start to ponder whether they need to make another move or something. So I think Cam needs to step up. Nothing on as far as Bomb Squad's running backs, Sproles, Michael James, Pierce, Rogers, Jaquez Rogers from Atlanta, doesn't excite me. So I think there's a concern there for Bomb Squad at the running back situation. Decent receivers, Julio Jones, Randall Cobb. I wanted that guy. Corey snatched him up 2 picks before me. Expect a big year from Randall. Everybody had him ranked like around 10 as far as the receiver goes. So 10 to team up with Julio, who's a top 5 guy as far as the rankings go. Definitely looks good, along with Eric Decker. who could be a top 15 guy. So receiver-wise, Bomb Squad looks good. Running back, quarterback, we'll see. Going down to Clyde. Clyde was a computer's pick for number one. I looked at this closely, and I just didn't see it. I like Romo, A.J. Green. We know those guys are solid. They're going to be there. But then when you go to the running backs, I don't see anything. Bryce Brown, Sean Green, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, Vic Ballard, Vance Ballard, whatever his name is in Indy, backing up Bradshaw. Nothing there. I like the receivers. Got Dwayne Bowe, who could have a big year with Alex Smith in Kansas City. Cecil Shorts, I liked him too. I think he kind of stayed on the radar because Jacksonville was so sorry last year, but had a good year. Fred Davis, if he stays healthy, could have a big year in Washington. So some potential there for Clyde, but I don't see a number one ranking there. But definitely some potential. Crusher, MDZ, Russell Wilson. I already said what I said about the second year guys. Who's going to step up? I like Russell. We'll see. LaShawn McCoy, expected to have a big year there with Chip Kelly's offense in Philly. These other running backs, Ivory, LaSure, Cox, Franklin. I think Franklin got cut. Nothing there. I don't see anything. Receivers, nice. Wes Welker, Megatron, Calvin Johnson, Miles Austin, good solid trio of receivers. And that's about it. So he needs Russell Wilson, I think, to have a big year. McCoy has to have a big year and then get those three receivers to do well. And Crusher could be right there in the mix. Gangsters, Eli Manning, Sam Bradford. I don't know which way you're going to go. Trent Richardson, another projected top running back. I don't like top projected running backs or receivers on weak teams or low-scoring teams. He had a good year last year. I was surprised just for that reason. Can he duplicate? We'll see. But they do have him highly rated. I think that's Monty Ball. Ronnie Hillman starting in Denver. We don't know what's going to happen in Denver. No Sean could come back out of those Blues. He had a good year. I don't know why they didn't give him a shot, but it looks like it's going to be out of Monty Ball, Ronnie Hillman in Denver. So that's kind of going to be a hit or miss throughout the season until somebody maybe locks up or solidifies that spot as much as they can. Fitzgerald, we'll see. I'm kind of expecting him to have a pretty decent year with Carson Palmer. Somebody decent to throw the ball to him. Hakeem Nicks could have a good year if he stays healthy. He's been hurt a lot. Jared Cook, I like that guy. Very athletic tight end. Went from Tennessee over to the Rams with Jeff Fisher likes him. They have high expectations for him, so we'll see how he does. So those pieces have to work for Gangsters to be in the mix, but at least he has some pieces. Just for fun, always got to give Just for Fun, our 5-time Super Bowl participant, just keeps on rolling like the Timex, man, and just takes a licking and keep on ticking. Peyton Manning, I don't like Rick's running backs here. D'Angelo Williams, Reggie Bush, I don't know who A. Smith is. Jaquez Bell, I assume that is from Detroit. D. Thomas, I don't know who that is as a receiver. Greg Jennings, he's got Gronkowski. Chris Gibbons might have a good year. Justin Blackman, I don't know. Just a lot of iffies there. So I give Just for Fun love and respect just because of the history. But looking at this squad, and now that I've re-recorded this about 4 times, every time I look at it, it doesn't look as good to me as it did the previous time. So but I just can't doubt Rick because Rick always seems to be there at the end of the day. So we'll see. But definitely have to have Gronkowski back, Peyton Manning, and then maybe Reggie Bush can have a good year in Detroit. Greg Jennings could have a good year. And, that's Denarius Thomas. I'm sorry. That's actually a really good receiver. So he's got Denarius and Thomas there in Denver with Peyton. So that's a nice situation. But I think Greg Jennings has to do something. Maybe Justin Blackman could have a good year in Jacksonville, just on like Blaine Gabbert as a quarterback. Again, low-scoring offensive just makes me nervous. So we'll see. Got a little potential there, but I think it's a little stretch for Just for Fun. But I'm giving him the love just because. Killer Bees. You know what? The more I look at Killer Bees, the more I'm liking Killer Bees. You know, after the draft, I was like, man, James is booty again. He gonna be drafted number 1 again. But yeah, Eddie Lacy, he said, then I don't take any credibility for what he said at the draft because things have changed since then. But over the last couple of weeks, Eddie Lacy has been coming up on the boards a lot more. I've been watching a lot of the shows on TV, and people are starting to really tout him because they got rid of that Franklin guy, and it looks like he's going to be the man. Whereas before it was kind of like he was going to get it, but they were like, I don't know, we're not sure. Mark Ingram, if he can stay healthy, I have Pierre Thomas. I think both of those guys can have like 1,000 yards, 8 or 9 touchdowns this year. Maybe one of them will take over. We don't know, but they're both good running backs and a very explosive offense. So I think Ingram's solid there. Then Vince Jackson, uh, Antonio Brown, Pierre Garcon, good receiver core. Not the top tier names, but Vince Jackson had a really good year last year. Antonio Brown, absolutely number one this year with Mike Wallace being gone. And Garcon was connecting well with the RG3 until he got hurt. So those could be three very quiet but very good receivers for Killer Bees. Also, he's got Isaac Redman, who just won the starting running back job there in Pittsburgh. So Killer Bee, like I say, is starting to look kind of good here. A very interesting team to watch. He's got Roethlisberger and Matt Schaub. So if Roethlisberger doesn't work out, he can switch over to Schaub, and Schaub should be pretty consistent for him. Superfly, Matt Ryan, Giovanni Bernard, my French brother. Uh, we'll see. That's one of those we'll see. DeMarco Murray, if he stays healthy, could be solid. We'll see. Uh, I think that's James Jones, Victor Cruz, not bad. Brian Hartline, potential sleeper there. If Julio can step up, get back. I mean, not Julio. James can have a good year in Green Bay, and watch out for James. He had like 11 touchdowns last year, and Gray Jennings and Donald Driver are gone. So Jordy Nelson obviously still there. Randall Cobb is still there, but there's not 4 or 5 guys to throw it to. There's only 3. So James Jones could still have a very good year. So Superfly got some potential. I think it's a little bit of a stretch, but not much, especially if Bernard and Murray can stay healthy and have good seasons. Because Matt Ryan, I think, is going to be solid there at quarterback. I think I have to worry about that. Going to my boy squad, when I look at my team, it looks good on paper. And it does kind of frequently. And then when I put them out there on the field, 25 points. But then it may explode and meet the potential and end up with a 90, 100-point game, and then go back and have a 30-point game. Just consistency. And I don't know if it's going to change. I got rid of Eli Manning and kept Kaepernick. Looking for some more explosiveness and more consistency. He's in that group I was talking about earlier, so we'll see. Ridley, Shane Vereen, people are saying that he's going to have a good year. He's going to be that third down back, receiving a lot with Gronkowski out. So that could be a very good flex player for me. Jamal Charles got to be consistent, man. I can't have him having 250 yards and 3 touchdowns and come back and have 20 yards on 3 carries the next week. And that's what he was doing, and that's how my team would go up and down. Pierre Thomas, good flex player. I got Jordy Nelson, Torrey Smith. I'm watching Torrey so closely. I'm already having some secret high hopes for Torrey as the number 1 receiver in Baltimore to really take that leap right now to the next level. And like I say, Jordy Nelson. I mean, those 8 guys, those 4 good, solid running backs, 4 good, solid receivers stack up against anybody else's 8 as far as overall. But consistency is where these guys have to go in order to get me to get from that middle of the pack to get into that top 4 or 5 spot. So we'll see. A lot of what ifs there as well. Real deal. Final team. Andrew Luck. Again, another guy. I like Andrew. I think Andrew, out of those guys, could be the one that I would expect to have that 30 touchdown, 4,500 yard season out of the young guys coming back. We'll see. Cuz got a lot of injury type guys with Bradshaw, Forte, Amendola. I think that's what the deal is going to be here. Do these guys stay healthy? If they're healthy, I think they'll be productive, but that's a big if. I think it's Lamar Miller, wherever Miller is, the starting running back in Miami, the rookie. We'll see what he does. Back again, I'm not excited about players on basically weak teams, low-scoring teams, but we'll see if Miller can do something. Brent Seeley could have a good year with the Chip Kelly offense there in Philly, so kind of watching out for him. And then Ben Tate, we'll see how that works out with Arian Foster. I think that's a good pickup because if Arian was to go down, Ben Tate can definitely step in and have a real good fantasy year. So some potential there for real deal, but guys just got to stay healthy. So that's it, fellas. That's where we are. That's the commissioner's analysis. And I'm ready to roll. So we're starting tomorrow. Check out tomorrow morning for your ad drop pickup. See who you got. Set your lineups. By tomorrow night's game, let's get ready to go. I'm going camping Friday up in the Big Bear. I don't know what my connection would be as far as the internet. So if I find that I'm not able to connect, I'm going to have to make somebody down here have commissioner access. So if people are having problems the first game, which usually I get maybe 1 or 2 calls, then you'll have to call somebody else if I'm not available. So stay tuned for that. But it's time to get rolling. Season 16. Let's knock it out. Good luck. West Side. Peace.